on this computer. Welcome to the Sleepy G Show. I'm the host with the most. My name is Gomez, and today is a true honor. I'm talking about, when I mean true honor, we're talking class of 99 St. Mary's High School. He was number 50 on the St. Mary's offensive line. He was also one of the best defensive ends I've ever seen, but he also, we call him Clubber Lane for a reason. He broke probably the same hand 3 years in a row. I'm talking Steven Diaz. Steve, what is going on, buddy?
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. And I would tell you, I am not the best defensive end you've seen. We had a ton of good kids in that class, man.
Oh, we did. But dude, you were in there, man. You were in there. You know it. You're in the You're in the trenches with the club, man.
We were fortunate to play for a small school. Let's say that.
Very fortunate that we've been to the state championship. I don't know how many times. We were the Buffalo Bills of high school football that year. We came close our senior year.
St. Joe's, right? St. Joe's.
Yeah, St. Joe Hamilton. That's when Hargrave and all them were on that team. Yeah. And still remember, I still have the bruise from that one of the guys on my back from that year. I still got the helmet imprint, I think, and the concussion of that other 79 I went against.
Oh my God, that's right.
Wow. You remember him? That was like, I remember, I'll never forget this. Coach Sheridan goes, Gomez, you will shadow this guy. I'm like, dude, it's the Battle of 79s. He goes, yes, he's got a full right to Oklahoma. I go, oh, Jesus. I'll never forget those years, man. We had some great years. As we were talking prior to the show, where we lost track, and here we are. We're finally getting onto the show.
Yes.
So Steve and I go back. We met each other in 94, 95 year of our high school. It was kind of funny. Steve and I were freshman football players. We grew up in the system for 4 years, and we
grew up in the system. I like how you put that together.
Yeah, I feel like we were in the system.
Yeah.
We were lucky to be on the team together for 4 years, and we had a blast. And we did track for 2 years, you and me, my junior, senior year. But you did track all 4.
Yeah, I was. Unfortunately, I was convinced by our head football coach that would help my speed, but ended up just throwing a disc.
Yeah, and I was throwing a shot put.
You were good. You were good.
I was good, yeah, but I lost in the state championship. How many times? How many times can you lose to the same guy 3 years in a row?
That should be your next show, is how many times did I lose the state championship? Besides,
oh my God, I can bring our whole team in, and you know, it would be like it would be a whole mess of our crew, man.
It'd be a good 3 years running of people.
Oh my God, easily. I could bring back guys from like the 97, 90. I could probably bring the 96 team.
Yeah.
Maybe the 96, 95, you know, Martin Pasterchis, the Doug Millers, Joe Reed, Joe Tiberzi, these guys.
There we go. That's a good defensive end. Joe Tiberzi was a phenomenal defensive end.
And you had the water boy, Jimmy Logue. Because he wore number 9. Remember that?
Yes, that's right. I forgot. Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, it was funny. I was talking to Mickey Hulse at the Beefsteak, and we were just talking about the teams that we had. And it was kind of funny. The team that we truly, I think, was the ultimate best team. I think our senior year team was really great. But I think our junior year, Tony Messina, Jeff Burke, John Polson, Robert Becker, and me on the offensive line. You had Ron Simone as the fullback. You had Paulie Johnson, Joe Tiberzi, and Bergen, Jared Bergen.
LeVar Starr.
Yeah. We had a freaking team and a half that year.
Yeah, we had a great defense. We had a great secondary. Dennis Hulse.
Dennis Hulse is our safety.
Yeah, Flipowitz was back there.
Yep.
Self, you, Ron Simone, Jimmy Lowe, Joe Tiberski. Wow, I can't remember. I'm just repeating this out like nothing. Like it's like,
because you know what it is? These are the things that you remember, because high school for us, you know, as we look at each other now, here we are 20 some odd years later. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, as class of 99, you are talking to the president student body at that year. I was the freshman president. You were the senior president.
Which is the best story to tell people, because they're like, you're kidding me. I'm like,
nope.
Honestly, Valerie, right? So who should have won it? She should have won it.
She should have won it, but there's a reason why. Well, you know what? My freshman year, my freshman year was a fixed. I'm going to say it. I think it was rigged that I won, because I was going against Kenya Flores.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And you were and you like you knew all the Rutherford people and you were from St. Mary's and
I was already,
cool.
but I also knew the upperclassmen.
Yeah. And poor Kenya, she's just like some Holy Trinity and Passaic, just comes out of nowhere.
And then she was pissed at me. I heard she was in biology class because I remember Michelle's reaction. She told me when the announcements happened, she dropped her head in the books, going, "Why?"
Oh no.
It's like,
She's a good person. But it's
no, she's
you're
great.
right.
She's
You're
great.
you're 100% correct. It was just a weird I think I won class president because I knew so many people. If I didn't know so many people, Valerie should have won. I mean, by far, she's a much better candidate than I ever was.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, when you think about it, you had the backing of all the football players and everybody. You know what I mean? Come on. It's like with me. I had all the backings from all the football guys and all the sports people. You know what I mean?
well, it's like I said before. I was like, you walked in and everybody's like, "Who is this man?" They're like, "He's not a man."
He's not a big. He's 16. She's turning 16.
We also have to mention, like, I think the reason why we know each other so well is because we were both like the few, and it's such a weird thing to put out there, but like we're the few Peruvian kids who went to school there.
Well, I'm half Peruvian, half Cuban, but yes,
I'm,
I always
I'm half Peruvian, half Colombian. We're like, oh, we're just Peruvian. Like,
we
it's
were
just a
both
weird
Peruvian, and
concept.
but you were the smarter one out of both of us.
Well, my
You
cousin was the smarter one out of both of us.
true. She was the smarter one, but we had such a great friendship,
Yeah.
guys. If you saw us back in the day, every Tuesday, my dad would come out. God rest his soul. You know, we think him. I think of him every day, and today was one of those days. I was thinking about my dad. He would come out to practice every Tuesday, and my dad would bring us a Peruvian drink, Inca Cola, and a soda after practice is not the greatest sometimes, but
It does give you that rush, right?
it
That
does.
rush to get going.
But my dad would always be there supporting the team, practice, games. He was always the loudest out of everybody.
I was telling you before, he definitely made you feel comfortable or wanted to make sure you were okay or doing great. He was always like,
Yeah,
"Hey, how are you? How you doing?" He was such a lovely man when it came to parents. He knew every parent,
yeah,
regardless if you were black, white, Spanish, or whatever creed you were. Your dad always shook hands, gave a great smile, gave a high five. It was phenomenal.
yeah. You know, and after we left, when we graduated, I had the opportunity to coach, and my dad still stayed serving breakfast. A couple
Oh,
years later, he stayed and with Sheridan and all of them until my dad passed. And the biggest thing I remember, Coach Sheridan, Coach Venezia, Kevin Jones, KJ.
wow.
When I told him about my dad, it was the week of their state finals too, you know, going against Hamilton. And I told them what was going on, and they actually made a quick visit to the house to pay respects to my dad. And you know, a couple years later, they actually made a plaque for my dad for the football team
Wow, it's
in the coach's room, and it still sits there to this day. And
it's such a great thing that like how your father has the only affiliation he really has is you, right?
yeah,
And you fast forward what? We went to high school, you said 94, 95,
started.
started, right? And we finished, you finished actually like doing things with St. Mary's around 06, 07.
Yeah,
That's good, like 12 years.
yeah.
That's a childhood. And your dad grew up in that, just being involved with just like, doing the breakfast, giving high fives, giving great smiles and great hugs, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was the one thing about my dad. He would be the first by the gate,
Yeah.
win or lose. He was there at the end of the game, at the gate, waiting for all of us.
He also always had his hair well done all the time.
Yeah,
You know,
that man had a great head of hair.
messy hair.
He had a great head of hair. My hair was all over the place. I remember freshman year, I looked like Don King by the end of the season because you and me had our hair slicked back.
Well, every kid, I feel like every kid during that time, we all wanted. Remember, like everybody wanted a Brooke. Everyone wanted a curly Brooke, right? We all wanted to look like. And now it kind of came back in a weird way. So
But you and me, we always had the best hair, though. We always had the slick hair, and we always had the freaking bandanas on because we could never get haircuts because we were always.
Or we had those, like, remember everybody cut a sleeve off and you put it under your helmet and you just like wore it like that.
Yep, yeah, the sleeveless shirts. How could I forget, man? Those were the times, though. And you know, it's funny as we have grown up, and you're married, I'm married now with our kids and stuff, and it's kind of funny how, like we were talking before, how we could connect with Instagram.
Yeah.
And you were following with my old show, Playlist Wars, and now you're following my newest show here, the Sleepy Gene, and now you're a guest on the show.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's amazing what you're doing, man, because you are the operation coordinator at Alpha Fit Club.
Correct. Yeah. So
And Yeah, no, please go ahead about this because it's so fascinating, man.
So Alpha Fit Club's a kind of a startup at this moment. We have several locations across New Jersey and going elsewhere. I oversee the 3 locations. I also oversee their learning and development of creative training programs. My plus years working, so I've worked through retail for almost 20 years, doing everything, whatever you call it, I did it. And then had a great opportunity to join this team. And um, my friend happened to be one of the 7 founders, and he was like, "Hey, Steve, come on board. We can definitely use you." But the most amazing thing is like just developing relationships that we had in high school as football
Mhm.
players. You start, you're pretty much like helping members create that relationship with other people who they no idea who they are, right? They just
Right.
come out together, they see each other 45 an hour a day, grinding, and all of a sudden they create these great relationships, and it's an amazing thing to see. So kind of like maybe what our coaches saw when we were
Mhm.
playing football is what I'm seeing with these great members developing these relationships. Yeah.
And that's awesome because, like you said, we had very hard but very great coaches. You're talking Coach Sheridan. We had Coach Weaver, Coach Venezia. We had Jack Jones. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? The legendary coach. I mean, when you talk about legendary coaches, you had 4 legendary coaches right there.
Well, well, Jack Jones was my favorite because he
Oh,
was,
he's
what was that guy's there was the running on joke. What's his name? The guy from DePaul he coached. He was
oh
phenomenal.
no, yes.
And he would make jokes. He's like, that guy broke his toe when he ran for 7 touchdowns, or that guy was ill to his stomach and he like tackled 14 people. And then the running on joke was like, I bet you the guy had no hands and he caught 14 passes.
And my favorite would always be, I remember my tackle. And I think it's because it was me. I wasn't feeling good that day myself either. Because he stuck it in there and he crapped in his pants and we taped his pads up. We didn't care. He was staying in the game. Like, coach, it's a different time now.
Yes, exactly.
But we stuck through it. But I mean, his favorite thing, and I still hear it, run it again. You know,
Running. He had the best point where I tell a lot of kids who I see now, they're like, um, they wanna play either offensive lineman or defensive lineman. And I remember Coach Jones would always say, if you can bench press X amount of weight, then you can do this position. And you're like, you realize at the end, you're like, you're kind of right. Like there's no, you
well,
could be fast, you could be strong, but if you can bench press this certain piece of weight, you're like, oh wow, never
Well, I
thought.
remember I do remember vaguely, but it was you and me. We were paired up as lifting partners, just because we were the 2 Spanish kids and everybody else. We were the tokens of the football team our freshman year. You know what I mean? And I remember Randy, he was jacked, but
Yeah.
he got jacked throughout the years. He really got jacked by his senior year. Me and him, and we were the 2 jacked up offensive linemen.
You got to tell your viewers. So like, so whoever's listening, St. Mary's is a Irish high school in Rutherford, New Jersey, and our mascot was the Gale, which is the Gaelic Knight. So
Yes.
when we're talking about being the only 2 token Spanish kids, it's because truly we were the 2 token Spanish kids on the football team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had Menino, don't get me wrong.
Oh well, yeah, other people were there. There was other people, but like
But
the
we
rope
were the
started.
full-blown Spanish people,
Yeah.
like, we actually ended up talking Spanish to each other because we were like, "What the hell they're saying?" And we were like,
Yeah.
"We don't know." So, we were the only 2 that literally could speak the language, understand each other, and enjoy the same food. But I remember we were going to the weight room, and I remember Jack Jones saying that because that was our freshman year coming in, and that
Perfect.
was our first lifting together.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm like looking, I'm like, Steve, what the hell is that? And you're like, that's an Olympic sized bar. I'm like, okay. And they're putting on like 45-pound on each side. We're like, was like 120, 125?
Yeah, it was
And
heavier and heavier. Like I
and
think
heavier, but and then and then I'm like, I said to you crazy, like joking around, I go, I could probably do that. And I'll never forget it. This is where I think Mark Rowan didn't like me very much. I feel like he didn't like me. He goes, get
oh
in here, freshman. And then I remember I did 3 of them, like I pumped it out, and I'm like, all right, you know. And I remember Sheridan goes, do that again. And I remember I pumped it out again, and I'm like, all right. He's like, freshmen are not supposed to do that. All I remember, I go, I'm
mind
not.
you, that lifting room looked like a Russian jail.
Oh my God. It felt like a Russian jail. Like if you understand St. Mary's, it was a true smallest school you'll ever see. I mean, it was Division 1. We weren't Group 4 like St. Joe's or Bergen Catholic with the special turf on the freaking field and 50,000 people in the stadium. We were the smallest school. And you know what? I'm really happy. Tamlin Field got renamed this year.
Which I'm not. I was going to ask you about that prior, but
It is called the Philip Sheridan Senior Memorial Field.
oh, so after his dad.
Yes.
Wow, it's
So
amazing.
it's part of the Sheridan heritage. So I'm so thrilled for that the town finally renamed it.
It's also one of the few small schools that survived. So think about
Very
all the schools that we went to high school, like we had either options to go to, or we knew friends that went to like small Catholic schools.
yeah.
St. Mary's still strong.
St. Mary's will always be a strong school, I think. I mean, not just because of the rich history, but the you're talking about now. Look at Nick Boyd. He came from St. Mary's. He played in the Final Four.
FAU, man.
You
Yeah.
know, FAU, man. Talk about huge. He was just at St. Mary's a couple of years ago, and now he was in contention for a national title.
Like, no, like Nick Boyd, like think about this. The guy, I was looking at his stats because I didn't realize he went to St. Mary's. The kid scored 737 points in 1 year.
He broke he was in the 1,000 club.
Only playing 2 years of high school in St. Mary's. That's even
Yeah,
better. Like, oh, that's amazing.
From what I heard, the guy could make points anywhere.
Yeah. But that's go. Yeah, I mean, like that's the strangest part. So like, if anyone who is listening is that St. Mary's definitely was not the school that your parents were being convinced to go to because you were great at sports, you're great at like academics. It was like, hey, like this is a good Catholic school. Is going to teach you like about good morals. And even though we were just the one of
We
the audience kids,
our class was. Let's just say that our year that was not the
definitely
greatest
something.
class.
Definitely something with St. Mary's is that for sure it was whoever went made the most of it. So that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, best way. I mean, the best way was this. I remember our end of our sophomore year, Sheridan walks me into his office and he shows me his offensive line for our junior year. And I'll never forget this. He had my name and Randy's name penciled in the left tackle.
Oh, that's right.
Randy was stronger than me.
Yeah.
He was jacked than me. I just feel like if he tried, he would have been a monster. When
Yeah.
you pissed him off, he was a monster defensive player.
He was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And
he
all I
was, he was,
remember,
he was a fun guy to play with, man. He definitely was an odd duck. Best way to describe
yeah, very odd,
it.
but probably one of the better football players I ever played with.
Yeah.
When it came to
Yeah.
when it came to our senior year, I thought it was going to be you and me on the right side. And then when coach was like, "No, it's going to be you and pitching," I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, all right, got to make the best of it.
Which is so hold on. So I have to tell you a good story. So I one of the coaches that I work with, his name is Hudson Fonseca. Great quarterback coming out of London, New Jersey, played in the Brazilian league. Actually was part of the quarterback coaching squad in the Jets prior, right? So
Okay.
you need this context for the story. So I try to tell him, he's like, "Oh, you play football?" I was like, "Yes." He's, "Steve, you're small. Like, you're a short guy." It's like, back to the story, right? We played Division I. But I told him, I was like, we ran one play. He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "We ran one play because
That's right.
we stacked it so well, which was ends right, sweep right all day." And if I mean, whoever is listening, we ran that play for 2 hours straight to get it right. And if the quarterback or if anyone missed their assignment, we had to redo it again. He was like, "Wait, you're kidding me?" Because no, we didn't start throwing the ball till we were seniors in high school. We always ran that same or the straight, which the
Blast right.
yeah, and that's it. And everybody's
It was,
like, every kid would be every coach knew we were running that play and they couldn't stop. And he's like, "Wait, Steve, you're kidding me." I was like, "No, I know you went to Linden. I know you threw the ball. I know you're phenomenal, but I know you've seen the NFL. I know you've been to college. I know you went to all these." We ran one goddamn play and it always worked.
and our junior year, I will never forget it when we called ends right, sweep right. I went from left tackle to the right side next to Tony Messino.
Oh yeah.
So and then you had Jared Bergen and Joe Tiberzi.
Yeah,
Tiberzi would stay in the backside. Either Jared or no. Jared would stay in the backside. Joe was next to me. So it's Tiberzi, me, Messino, Burke, Polson, Becker, and Bergen, Holtz, Mickey Holtz. Let's get that right.
and our quarterback at that time, Mickey was 6'1", 200 pounds.
And he was a big dude, and he was an all-state kicker that year too.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He kicked the ball.
He kicked the ball. He was our kicker / our punter too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And I remember, and you had Ron Simone, Paulie Johnson, and sometimes Tessa would jump in. You're talking about a scary fucking line.
You're right. I mean, and you think about it, so our class was 86. We graduated 86 people. Our school was only 400. So we had a matchup with kids who had 400 people. And we were big kids for that kind of
school,
kind of metric. Like if no one had 400 kids with a person like you. So you were
285. I was 285 at that time.
What?
6'2". I was 6'2". I'm 6'2" and a quarter now, 285 at that point.
In the ring, you're 6'3"?
Yeah, in the ring, I was 6'3". I think the program said 6'4".
But think about it. Look, so you were 6'3", 2 and change. Randy Pitchnick was 6'2", 6'1",
6'1" change.
Jared Bergen was 6'3", but was thin that time. Joe Tyberski was like 6'4". Jimmy Loke was like 6'1".
Yeah.
Ron Simone was 6 even. Mickey was 6'1". I mean, I didn't even get to guys like Robert Becker, who was short.
He was 5 foot, man. He was
his back was wide. He was a big lifter. He was always ripped for a kid. Yeah. He was phenomenal. And you think about it, let's say you go to Perfect Immaculate Conception in Newark, right? Those kids were 400. Their biggest kid was maybe 6'1", 185 pounds soaking wet.
The one I remember was it my junior year when we played Immaculate Conception in Montclair.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, Montclair. No, Montclair. Yeah, I knew. I'm sorry. I remember their one kid, and I'll never forget the kid's name. His last name was Bloomfield.
Yes. No, did he wrestle?
I think he wrestled, but I didn't wrestle him that year.
He was the only big kid.
He was 6'7".
He was big.
295 pounds.
But
I will never forget this. Remember, this is the year I messed up my knee because this is the game I got my leg taped from up to my upper thigh all the way to my ankle because I hurt my knee so bad that it separated. And I will never forget Bloomfield. He was this massive man. And all I remember is his hand covered my helmet. And I think it was the first play. All you saw was my feet in the air. He threw me like a rag doll.
Yeah, but that's the same team who knew that play and cut it. They called it out. They were they're running the sweep. We're running the sweep.
And I remember, and I'll never forget because I said to Bloomfield, I'm going to run it down your throat. And I remember Mickey audibled it and ended up being blast left. And I said, and it's kind of funny because you and we watched the program at that year.
That just came to my head. It's so funny.
And I remember I just said, we're running the doggies right over your ass and be ready. And all I remember is I got so low. And I remember Sheridan pointing this out during film session. So look at Gomez. He's moving him like a stack of pianos. He has no traction. He's going. And then I remember Testa running it 80 something yards.
Oh, man. It was some fun years, man. Fun years playing football for sure.
We had some great times. And now as we all went to college and went ahead, we got married. And now look at you now, man. I know a few weeks ago you did a overnight run.
Yeah. So this guy named David Goggins. If you're familiar with this guy, wrote a great book. He does a kind of a challenge called the 4x4x48. So you're running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And they ask, well, he doesn't really ask, but he kind of pushes you to do it for an organization. So we did it for Children's Specialized Hospital.
Nice.
Raised around $20,000. It was pretty cool. I will tell you, it's one of the greatest experiences I've had in a long time. Me and 11 other individuals all sat down together, slept in this one room, which is the headquarters.
I saw that.
So Alpha Fit Club, I created this headquarters for them. And it all actually started 3 years prior. My neighbor, who's actually a really good friend of mine now, he is one of the founders of Alpha Fit Club.
Okay.
He was like, one day we started running together. We kept on running through COVID, running. And he was like, hey, man, I really want to do this 4x4x48. We can definitely do it outside here, so on and so forth. And I was like, it'd be a great idea. Fast forward, Steve, man, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's go do it for Specialized Hospital. We'll get, a couple of us going. We'll raise X amount of dollars and really do it for a great cause. We thought we were going to get maybe $8,000. So we ended up finishing with $20,000. We ended up with 12 runners. We thought we were going to be 5 runners. It was an amazing thing, but it's something that, so me and my buddy ended up creating a group called Run with Wolves. So the Alpha Fit Club, the wolf is the main kind of like character, I would say best, right?
Right.
So Run with Wolves is kind of like the wingman. So our emblem is a raven who is always going to be the wingman for the wolf. So we do it like that. So we just did this one. We might be doing something in the future with like either capture the flag to raise money for Children's Hospital. I'm running the New York City Marathon for a great organization called No Limits Cafe in Red Bank, New Jersey. They help young adults with autism how to assimilate a true working day in a restaurant. They work from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Phenomenal group of people. Callie Garita is one of the gentlemen who got me involved with them. So, and then, oh my God, so many. Then tomorrow, so this might be outdated, but tomorrow, I won't tell you the date. So
That's all right. It's all right.
we're doing a great organization. We're running funds for an organization called Waffle House. It helps women who are in need of either mental or legal services, people who cannot get out of really bad situations, especially when it comes to like horrible spouse abuse, things of that nature.
That's an awesome thing, man.
And then the following, what ends up happening is when you end up working with people, you end up also like, people always bring to you great ideas and great organizations and fundraisers. The next one we did one earlier this year, was Big Brothers and Big Sisters down in South Jersey. We're doing a thing called the 2-mile run. We joined them. We're going to run in tutus, walk in tutus, whatever, hold your hands. It's more to promote that, Big Brothers, Big Sisters can help everyone.
Yeah.
It's like being a Big Brother, Big Sister. You also can help out with just giving gifts to people who are in need and things of that nature.
Yeah. And that's something that's really cool. Like for me, as this show is starting to take off a little bit, a little bit more. I was lucky to have Christina Bear on the show. And episode 4, I actually had Cara DeFalco come on too. They were all from News New Jersey 12 at one point. They worked together. Now they're on together on NJ.com. And it's kind of cool, making connections, talking to people. And, and like Steve, you and I go back. And like I said, we've known each other since 95 here. And for me to hear this is so awesome, because as I have now grown up a lot more and matured at a very
hard, right? After 40, a man matures, right? That's what
it's kind of funny. You mature quickly when you have your first child.
Oh yeah.
But I'm still that big kid at heart, though. You know what I mean? I still got that big kid heart on me. And one thing I noticed is I started picking up on blogging a little bit more. So, I've been blogging, and I have a couple of pieces that I really thought was some of my best work. Like Who's Your Hero? I talked about my dad being one of my heroes and my mom, and the family and all that stuff was like a huge part, and how nerve-wracking it is to do something like this, make up your own show. I got to thank my buddy for DT from Space Castle. He made the logo up of the sleeve gym, and I got the swag on tonight. And that's what I wanted to do, and I put my mind to it, and I started talking about anti-bullying. Something happened recently, and it annoyed me a little bit. And I remember myself, I was bullied, but I also became a bullier, and I saw the spectrum of 2 ways. You know what I mean? So now, as an adult and as a father, you're protecting people now it's like, let's take care of it. I also wrote up my summary, 4-year summary of St. Mary's, of how hard I struggled the first 2 years of football at St. Mary's. And then Sheridan threw a challenge down to my face and said, if you accept the challenge, I will train you. And one thing I noticed that year was it was the sophomore of our sophomore year, going into our junior year, and we were still in that 100-degree weather gym. And I remember when you guys were lifting, I remember Sheridan called me out, time to run. While you guys were lifting for like the last 45 minutes, I was up there in a sweat box running around the gym. And I think it was like a month later, you came up. Paulie Johnson started coming up. Dennis, everybody. And Ron Simone, Mickey, everybody. And what I saw was a team not just becoming a team, but a family. And to me, to this year, graduating in 99, that's still family to me. You know, I still consider you as family. You know, we play together, we sweat, drew blood on the same field, broke hands, broke arms.
No, but you're right about the you're right. It's to talk about the beginning of what you're saying is that as a parent talking about anti-bullying, it's tough as you're right as a parent because sometimes you start seeing things that you're like, wait, I remember either knowing a kid like that or the kid seeing traits of either a
Mhm.
bully or someone who's going to get bullied. And either you're trying to protect your child in both spectrums, you don't want them to be the one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a hard as an adult to really fathom the fact that you have the chance to shape a small child to become either one or the other, right?
Mhm.
And so I get like I'm sorry if you had experienced something with that bullying part, but it's something that I've also witnessed with other parents in the field that I work in. Like
Mm.
these are people who were bullied either as kids, and then all of a sudden they're transforming their bodies to become thinner or different. And at the end of the day, you realize that it's not, you can lose X amount of weight or
Yeah.
change. You're still going to have, you still have to be true to yourself. You have to be quirky. You have to be fun. You have to be odd. You have to be great, whatever it is. You can't, lie to yourself about that. So these kids who bully each other, it's just such a sickening thing. And I understand where you're coming from. It's a horrible thing.
I mean, well, if you think about it, when I was a freshman, you remember, I was taller than pretty much all the kids in our class.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened? I got bullied a little bit freshman year because A, I was the tallest.
Mhm.
B, I was the biggest. And when I mean big, I was a hefty kid.
You're a
But
big
I
guy.
also, but also, if you look at it, after 4 years of high school, I transformed my body
Yeah.
into a jacked kid with, I still had a gut, but it wasn't as big as it was my freshman year. And, but, as we were seniors, one thing that I remember is I never, when we had our freshman year, the freshman class over coming, I don't think we ever did the tradition of, you know, disrespecting the new freshman class
Um,
and stuff like, well,
we weren't bad. We were. I felt like this is where nowadays hazing is such a weird.
yeah, that's the word I was looking at, hazing.
it's a hard word to use, right? Hazing,
Yeah.
like it's kind of like a forbidden word. And I think when we were kids growing up, we would haze the kids in different ways.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like we ended up realizing when you're a senior, like why did I do that? Like or
Well,
freshman college, like why did I do that?
I remember our freshman year, we got hazed, and it was
Yeah,
the night before the dinner. The first dinner we had together as a team,
yeah,
and we were upstairs from our locker room. And I remember the senior class, all right, freshmen, go up to sing. And I'm like, I don't have to sing. They're like, why? I'm varsity. They're
yeah.
freshmen. Remember? He's like, well, you're still a freshman. I go, not in my eyes. And I remember I stuck up for myself because, like, get up there. I'm like, no,
It was such an odd thing. It's like, I mean, there are, not to get into it, not to incriminate anyone,
no.
but there was a lot of things that I remember as for like hazing. I remember somebody bringing something to school that was not right, and it was a
Oh,
really bad situation. So I'm going to change the subject.
yeah. I remember Anthony Madonna holding a football like we did in the program. Remember we
Oh
had the
my
fumble lineman
God.
problem?
Well, I wanted to say something about your show, which you actually just brought
Yeah.
up right now. Bear, Catherine, is that her name, Catherine Bear?
Christina Bear.
Yeah. So it's funny when I kind of like fangirled a little because I love Channel 12 News. Like I think it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. It's one of the best shows. People are laughing at me. I can watch it on reruns over and over. I can
Same
keep
here.
it. And I was like, wait, I know this woman from somewhere.
Mhm.
And I was like, wait, she was here. And it's amazing that like you got her on your show. How are you?
So I've been friends with her on Instagram for a long time.
Okay.
So I was like, oh wow, that's Christina Bear on Instagram. I started posting, liking her stuff, and then I actually started posting saying, "Hey, that's awesome. Hey, enjoy your kids, time." And she started responding back.
Mhm.
So after my hiatus at Playlist Wars, I decided to develop the Sleepy G show. I'm like, I gotta get a big name. And I DM'd her on Instagram and I just said, "Hey, Christina, it would be a true honor if you would like to come on my show, Sleepy G." Hence the reason Sleepy G is because I do my name, I do my shirt, I do my interviews in a cutoff t-shirt, and she loved it. And she goes, "Yeah." And then she sent me her email. I sent her the link, and right before the show started, we were just chit-chatting a little bit, just like we were. And she's like, "I feel like I know you forever. We've been friends on Instagram for such a long time." And I'm like, "Thank you. It's a true honor to hear that."
Mhm.
And I talked to her. We were talking during the Super Bowl. We were texting each other a little bit through Instagram. And she's so cool, man. And for her to say that was her first podcast ever was like a true honor for me. But
Right.
I feel like you've been on TV for as long as you've been, this is easy.
It's funny because she's not much. I think she's maybe a year older than us, maybe the same age.
I didn't go there.
But
Never
no,
ask a woman
the
her
same.
age.
But to me, people are like, she's an OG, and I'm like, no, I don't like know her. Like, I've like being on the same team, like watching TV, being a Channel 12 News. I mean, I remember when it was just the weather report. There was
Yeah.
no 12 News, and to see her from doing all these things, and I didn't realize like as soon as I saw your show, and then I heard your show, and I was like, wait, she's an Emmy, she's this and that. And I started looking up. It's like, wow, this person has done a lot, and all you really know is she does the news at 9 a.m. You're like,
Yeah. And she was on Channel 11 for a while. And,
yeah,
she bounced between everything. And she's also a writer for The Sun, and she does a lot.
yeah.
And, it was great because we talked about her parents. So her mom won the Emmy and how her dad was,
Which I didn't know either. I was like,
yeah.
wait, Wikipedia on this person? I was like, what's going on?
Well, when you get to talk to everybody, you get a lot of the good stuff. She was telling me how she was getting her hair cut next to Susan Lucci. I'm like,
I, I heard, I was hearing your podcast. Yes, that's right. I was
I was like,
actually running. I mean, so I run every day, but when I was running them, when was I doing it? I was doing a run recently, and I had your podcast on.
nice.
I was like, this woman, because I love a good podcast when running. And it was like Christina Ricci. I was like, I know that name. I said that name to a 22-year-old. They looked at me, they had 15 heads. They were like, who is Christina Ricci? I was like, you don't know who it is.
Yeah, never mind. Just don't worry
It's,
about Susan Lucci. Yeah.
sorry, Susan Lucci,
Yeah,
not
no, no,
Christina
yeah,
Ricci.
yeah, no,
Sorry,
no,
Susan
but
Lucci.
yeah, but her dad was a cameraman for Worldwide Sports, and guess what that turned out to be?
ESPN.
ESPN. So Mia was just like, like, wow, like I understand, like she's been in front of the camera for years,
Yeah.
and she's such a cool person, man. And I told her she's always welcome to come back on the show. She tells me when she gets an automatic, someone else gets pushed in.
You also had fun people. I know I had a couple of our classmates on your other show. I think, did you have Chris Hartman? Is that correct?
I had Chris Hartman on.
It,
Uh,
it,
we
what's his
did we did the YouTube episode together.
you did Beastie Boys with?
I did Beastie Boys with Doug Miller.
There we go. That was a
And
good one too. I like
yeah,
that one
because
too.
that's where I found my niche on the show. Is
Okay.
because we did No Sleep to Brooklyn. I
Yeah.
said, I want to add on to something like, and Brian was like, "What?" I said, "Well, I don't know if you guys remember Out for Justice with Steven Seagal." And I was like, "Oh shoot," like everyone's going crazy. And that's where my, the love of the movies, the video games for me became a niche for for that show.
So it's funny. So the more so I know sometimes like we went to high school together for 4 years,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think we growing up, we fall in love with certain things or we didn't know about it. But me and you, when it comes to certain things, I didn't realize, but you like a lot of the music I listened to or grew up with, but you also some of these movies and some of these like certain things you were like calling out through like just like in general, like
Yeah.
quotes, references. I was like, wait, like yo, Alex knows a lot of stuff that I'm familiar with. What's going on here?
Well, I mean,
For sure, this Beastie Boys one was a phenomenal one. I think
yeah.
I can tell you your Beastie Boys and also your. I think you did Eric Church was my favorite two for you.
Eric Church was my first bit of country.
Oh, okay,
So I was never a country guy.
okay, all right.
So I started listening to some of the Eric Church's music,
Okay.
and I just put up a great top 10 that I thought was great. Songs that resonated with me personally,
Yeah.
hearing the lyrics. And I'll tell you, I was surprised I won that episode. by a like not by a landslide, but I won it pretty damn fair and square. And
I
I
would
was
yeah.
surprised.
Did you have Talladega on your list or no?
I believe I did.
You did Talladega. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. That one and Bruce Springsteen are my favorite two songs. Yeah.
And I tell you, I mean, we've had G Love and the special sauce on the show.
Which, you know what? I had to go back. I didn't listen to that one, but I saw it pop up and I was like, wait, I gotta go back. I gotta go on Spotify and figure out, like, I haven't heard those songs in a long time.
And he was a really cool special guest. We had Rob Felicetti from Bowling for Soup. Now I can say his name correctly. He was,
I know, I saw that.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was making fun of me and calling me Alejandro because I got starstruck, and you know what I mean. For me, it was my very first celebrity interview.
Yeah.
So now, like, I recently just had Cara DeFalco on, because she has Cara's Cucina. She has a cooking show on YouTube. Only show that I know on YouTube that had an Emmy nomination.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so she's really cool. I had her on. She's from, she's a true Jersey girl too, just like Christina Bear, and she was great. She was funny, and we talked about a lot of good food and all that stuff too. Man, I'm hungry already.
No.
And actually, Don Smith too, when he used to work for New Jersey 12, he was the traffic guy, the traffic at that point at one time when they were working together.
Wow.
So he has his own YouTube channel, and I got to talk to him, and he's another great guy. We
Awesome.
actually interviewed Kara and Don at the same week.
Oh wow.
And talking about organizations, I know with the restaurant down in Red Bank, we were just talking about that with autism, and we touch about that. And I'm actually going to have our old classmate come on too, Angela Bryden Egan. She's married now. She has a son that is autistic, and I know this is going to be aired in May, but you know what? We're talking about such a great that we're going to do, and she's going to come on the show and talk about it. And I'm looking forward to that too, because I think we have to raise more awareness of it.
Yeah.
As
It's a topic that I didn't realize was such a huge thing till I got into this world of, like, gyms. And we actually have a member who, his son is autistic, and you don't realize how much things children need to develop and learn. Like, the one thing is either just putting food in your mouth and chewing it. I was really shocked. And
yeah,
me being just, I'm just naive to it. So now I'm a little bit more of it, like, I know more of it, and it's just amazing. And I'm actually can't wait to listen to that podcast with Angela for sure, to see how she's, as being from the side of the parent.
yeah. And then there's more parents out there. I know there is, and and there's something that I know a lot of people do not want to share, but she's willing to share, and I'm willing to be there for that. And she was awesome. And I asked her, like, if you mind if I did a blog on it. If you check it out on sleevygpodcasts.com, you'll see the blog on there. It's cool because this is all about what I love to do. I love my family, my wife, and my two kids are huge supporters of me on this. And as I'm seeing more things that need to raise more awareness of, like, definitely autism's one, bullying's another. There's going to be other things I'd love to dip in. We're not doing this for money. We're doing it because we love what we do.
I
That's
don't get any kickback. So, like, the only thing I got No Limits was a bib for New York City Marathon, but for everything else, like, we have one of our friends, one of our coaches who works for Release Recovery, is a huge sobriety home
okay.
in the East Side. And that's a huge thing that I never knew about, that I'm learning more and more about. And you're right. Like you're doing your podcast. You're putting yourself out there because
Yeah.
you love it, enjoy it. And people don't realize you're not getting a kickback. There's
Yeah.
something going on. You just want to have fun with it.
I
I
want to
know.
have fun with it, but with the serious side too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, we have to talk. There's always serious issues in the world, but I mean, we're not talking politics here, but
No, exactly.
we're talking
Yeah.
what really matters to what we think is the right thing to do these days.
And I know we talked about previously, you're trying to get one of our old classmates, Alexis Guerrero's. He'll tell you a good story how he got involved. I won't ruin it for you, but it's something to the point where you're saying, it's like, if you have a good support system, you can do whatever you can.
And that's one thing, I mean, the next time you guys do that 4x4 by 48, I would actually like to even be there for a little bit and to kind of document a little bit on live on YouTube, when you guys are running. Oh, I'm not going to do the running, but I'll see you guys running, you know what I mean? And but like, do the support in there with you guys inside the room and do like a live thing. That would be so cool because it would bring awareness.
No, yeah, come through. I mean, our next one's going to be in March. It's every March. It's done. We are fortunate to give you the longer story besides the how we did it, but
Mm.
one of our founders of Alpha Fit Club, his son has autism,
Okay.
and he one day was collecting cash. He put up a funny kind of like cutout of him and one of our other founders together, donated $1. He had X amount of dollars. He went to the children's hospital. He's like, what do I do with this? Like,
Right.
he's like, we have money, like take it from us. And then he has also his son's organization called Luke's Run, I believe it is. And that is every September in Verona, which we also just go there and, do a walk. Because some of these kids can't operate. They're noise sensitive.
Yes.
It's a thing that I'm learning that's kind of like it's amazing how these parents can control it, right?
Yeah.
And with that being said, we're going to snowball into this, but then we had a team come in from Red Bank who has a gym dedicated to children with autism or disabilities. So these kids are training to get, mobile, to become stronger, to become healthy, even running, and they all have some type of disability. And when I tell you, when they came running with us, it was almost a tearjerker. Like, we were like, wow, like this is amazing. We had 6 kids and they ran with us one of the segments, and it was definitely something you're like, I looked at my friend Tim, and so his name is Tim Banos. I was like, hey Tim, like, yo, we're doing something very different. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, hey man, like this is amazing. And if you follow me on
Oh,
Instagram,
which I do.
it's so if you have a chance, let's go Diaz. It's my Instagram page. I'm not trying to promote myself, but
Oh, don't worry. We'll do that towards the end. Don't worry about that.
but he at the end of his speech, because he was pretty much, I'm the second one in command. He's the first in command. And he said this is one of the greatest moments and experience of his life. Is because not only did we spend so many odd hours together, but we had teams like one of our friends, Rob, who I just mentioned about his son. We had the Jim from Red Bank who came over. We had one of the members, Callie Garita from No Limits Cafe, run with us. It was an amazing thing about just giving awareness not only to Children's Specialized Hospital, but also to these certain things that young adults deal with that we forget about. Like, we always talk about autism as a child, like toddler. We forget these, they end up being adults and they
Yeah.
need services as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I definitely would like to join up with you guys on that one because I would love to kind of document that a little bit, and then we could actually do a lot of things, you know what I mean? With that, through my Instagram, through the YouTube, even through Facebook, even we could do like a live show, like through the laptop, and then we could do live on Facebook through a cell phone or Instagram, and just
Dude,
have it going.
I can give you a couple, so we can definitely do something. We have so I'm part of really close friends with another organization called the Greatest Raffle Ever.
Mhm.
They also raise money for Children's Specialized Hospital. What they did, actually, I won't say we, but I wasn't part of it yet. But these guys, what they did is they did a raffle for $200 a ticket. It was worth it. This is what you got. You got like Knicks tickets, signed
Nice.
memorabilia from the Giants. You got tickets to Rangers games. You got dinners. You got whatever, right? At the end of the day, they raised close to, I think, 20K or 20, no, more than that,
Nice.
a good amount. But it's something where you can definitely come on board and we can invite you over and be like, hey, you want to do a quick interview? His name is Kieran, phenomenal man. My
Yeah,
friend
I
Tim is
mean,
with him. You guys can
even
do
just just even talk for a couple minutes before we
yeah,
even do anything, because I think doing something like that, like live, would be really cool. Especially, hey, here's what we got going. Here's what you could buy a raffle for. This
we're
is
gonna ask you to do, right? You're gonna have to take a class. You're gonna take a
yeah, might
Alpha Fit Club class.
yeah, might have to, which might be the scariest thing. I haven't done anything that strenuous in that
Oh, dude,
long.
no, it's amazing.
Ugh.
It's a great class to take.
It's funny. If you see me in the corner, you already know what happened to me. So just let me be. But that's something would be really cool because I would love to do something to help Alpha Club on that. You know what I mean? Definitely help promote, and you know, I'm not, like I said, there's nothing for me to do, but just to help promote it
Yeah, for
and be
sure.
having the show be part of something that cool. I definitely would love to. If we could do it, we're going to definitely get it, I would love to get involved.
After today, we can definitely link up. You know that I'm always available.
Yeah.
Was gonna tell you something just to switch subjects. You mentioned a movie that I tried to mention to someone, they didn't realize it, but The Program, right?
Yes.
Which I feel like is a movie that resonates with us as being, playing high
Okay.
school sports.
Oh yeah.
Um, a lot of kids don't know what this movie is. A lot of people are like, "Hey, what's your favorite movie?" Like, "Oh, Remember the Titans." Like, it was a good movie, right? No, don't mind, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, but
Also Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights, amazing movie. I was like, "You guys ever watch The Program?" And they're like, "What's
what?
The Program?" I took one of these kids. He's 28 years old. I said, "Hey man, you gotta watch this movie. So you're gonna love it. Go home. It's gonna be very outdated, so get used to it." He came back to me. He's like, "Steve, I never realized how crazy sports was in the 90s." I was like, "Sports was crazy in the 90s."
Well,
He's like,
what's funny? You know what movie I resonate to our team?
"What movie?"
You're gonna laugh. Varsity Blues.
Oh my God. But which part? Because there's a lot of weird parts in that movie.
Okay,
Not the strippers
not
scene.
the strip bar. No, no, that we were. Well, maybe I was, but I don't know about everybody else. But not the strip bar. But well, not being well, no comment on that part. But the parties,
Yeah, yeah.
the football games. Even
Yep.
though we didn't play under the lights.
We did. So there's one part of the movies I will tell. One segment of the movie that kind of does resonate with me, because not with like needles or things of that nature. Like, we never took cortisone shots, which we're fortunate about, but we took a lot of beatings. We were taped up. I remember being taped up,
Up.
man.
We were probably one of the only hardcore high schoolers. I mean, this is why I think when I remember in 97, 98 season,
Yeah,
our junior year, Sheridan and Venezia and all them said how we pride ourselves on smash mouth football.
yeah.
If
Lunchbox, remember?
we put your lunchbox,
Yeah,
punch in your time card, it's time to go
yeah,
to work. And it's kind of funny. That year team and our senior year teams, we weren't like, woo, go rowdy and all that stuff. We were probably one of the quietest
yeah.
entering teams ever.
Yeah, I mean, you know what game, talking about stuff like Varsity Blues, you know what game reminds me of Varsity Blues is, remember that game we played against Hasbrook Heights in the rain?
Oh God, that was our junior year. We were 3-0, and or was it we were 3-0 or 4-0? It was the battle on the undefeateds.
So,
I
so
remember this one.
quick story. So somebody pushes me on the floor because it was just a rumble, and I fall. I turn to my left, and I remember this, but a kid, his whole entire ankle twisted. And I was like,
Yes,
I saw it in front of me. I was like,
that was me. This is offense, yeah, because you were in offense for this one.
it was such a scary moment. But in my head, I was like, yo, we're like really
We
we're playing
were,
football. Like, we're not messing around.
we were, and I remember because now, guys, if you knew what St. Mary's football was about, just to give you an idea what our field was like, we didn't have a turf.
Yeah,
We didn't, well, we kind of had grass, but not in the middle of the field. We had a mud pack in the middle of the field.
yeah,
And I'll never forget this. It was in the third, it was now when we're talking monsoon,
yeah. It was
you
bad,
couldn't throw the ball.
but it was no
Barely,
lightning. It was good. There was no lightning, which is
no,
phenomenal.
but I remember we had to stop actually, I think in the third quarter for lightning.
Yeah, maybe we did. Yeah,
It was in
no,
the
that was
third
the
quarter.
Becton game when we were kids. That was the Becton game when we were kids.
Oh, that was Becton game when I was
We were like
going crazy.
children.
Yeah, we were children, but I can only play like only a half because I had to go to the varsity game.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. So I had that was
Which,
the
if wait, actually, before you continue your story,
yeah.
before you finish your thought, anyone who's listening, please tell me you had the same rules. If you can only play 2 quarters of a freshman game to play 2 quarters of a JV game. If you didn't, please let me know what state you live in, because I need to know this.
Yeah, me too. We both need to know this one because I can only play 2 quarters and I could never
Yeah.
start as a freshman, but I played the last 2 quarters and then I had to go either suit up for varsity as a backup, but I never really
Yeah.
played as much my freshman year.
You didn't play we played on Monday.
We
And
played
then
JV on Monday.
we played freshman on Monday. It was Thursdays
No, no,
on.
no. Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock were freshman games.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And you had
JV JV was 4 o'clock games, 4:30, depending where we had to go,
yeah.
and then practice the rest of the week and get ready for the games.
It's like, to me, it's like, what, continue your thought. It throws me off, right?
No,
Like,
no, no. But I mean, but if you think about it, this is how hardcore we were. Sophomore year, half of the team is benched for some reason, and I get the nod. I'll never forget this. As I'm walking into the locker room, Coach Sheridan, Jack Jones call me into the office. Gomez, you're starting at left guard. Huh? Oh shoot! What? Okay, no problem. I remember rushing into the locker room, getting changed, and started remembering what the guard's position is. Now, the funny thing is, do you still remember the guard rules?
No, not at all. Well, you mean like where you go? If
Yeah,
someone's standing up this way, or like, yes,
yeah.
I kind of remember it. Yeah, I can put it if
So,
you give me a whiteboard, I could do it.
so it was middle. It was straight ahead, inside tackle, left side tackle, middle stack, double team.
That's right. Yeah.
How do I still remember this? Don't ask me, but I remember that position, and I played the tackle, not the guard position.
Oh my God.
And all I remember was when I remember is this at the end of the game we won. We beat Weehawken badly. Like I think it was like 55 something.
Yeah, I remember those games. Those games were bad.
Those were bad games. And I remember kids were talking in Spanish. All I hear is like, Gomez, what do you say? I go, he said something about your mother.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember is my one finger to this day. Here
Oh
it is.
man.
This is the finger I broke during my sophomore year at
Oh my
Weehawken.
God. I thought if I answered, hold on, wait. I can't put my pinky down at all. I was like, my kids are like, Dad, what's wrong with your pinky? I was like, I
So,
broke as a kid growing up.
so when I got married, I told my wife, "Do you want the finger this way, or do you want me to just close my hand like this?" So, because that was the joke before our wedding. You know, the day we were getting married.
it, you're right. I mean, that's how, yeah, you're right. I mean, but it's scary because at one point, like you can remember people will tell you like you were crazy, that was foolish. Why did you do that? Why did you hurt yourself so badly? And at the end of the day, you're like, it's kind of a weird fraternity
Yeah,
that you were
that,
in. And you can talk. I mean, I know we're picking up like right now, like as we were like in the lunchroom again, eating peanut
yeah,
butter sandwiches, but I feel like I can do that with a lot of people who I played football with those years. I
hmm
mean, we might not see eye to eye in certain things, or maybe disagree on whatever the world is going on.
yeah.
But once we start talking about like, remember that year, remember this football game, remember that person, and you're like, holy crap.
But you know what? If you think about it, we were when we were in practices too. We were not hitting light like
No,
some of
no,
these other schools were. They go like half pads. We were full blown pads, killing each other.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's this, also since we were kids, right? Like you said, when we were kids and when we were like freshmen in high school, like I mean, think about it. Most of the people who I am still friends with or in contact with, I played freshman year with them, like Alexis Guerrero's. I played
yeah.
freshman year with them. We played with Menino. We
Menino.
played all of Menino played actually every year.
He played all 4 years. You know what? He should have been a starter with us.
Yeah.
He
I
was
just kind of I love him to death, but he was just like he was really skinny. That's the only problem. That's the only thing. He's always been a thin guy. That's it.
he was a thin guy, but let me tell you, he gave you 110% out there. And I think it was our senior year, he had an interception.
Yes,
He was
that's
in
right.
defense.
Yes.
So it was a key interception too to win the game.
It's remember speaking of people, like remember Carl?
Oh my God.
Remember? So art, it was such a weird era because people wanted to be water boys. Remember, like this
Carl
kid,
Wigan, yes. And Rob Paluzzi.
his buddy, right?
Yeah, they were both water boys, and then they became football players.
But like 3 years later, not like immediately.
Now,
Like they wanted to
now.
be water. They actually wanted to be like eighth grade water boys. And it's
Remember remember Mike Schmidt?
why does that sound so familiar?
Because he played for St. Mary's and he went to Michigan, Michigan State. He was Coach Sheridan's nephew, or he was related to Coach
Oh my God. I remember
Big
him.
Mike. Big Mike.
Oh,
Okay.
Wow, he went to Michigan State.
He went to Michigan State.
Wow, he was a big dude. He was a big boy when growing
Dude,
up.
when he sprouted freshman sophomore year, God, this kid was huge. And then we had his cousin Tom Schmedding come from Rutherford High to St.
I
Mary's
remember
High.
him too. Yeah.
And I remember coaching when I was coaching, and Coach V said, I have a project for you.
Look at the big dude, man.
And
So
he goes,
how'd you think? Because those kids, like I remember when they were growing up, I remember just seeing them. They were awkward. Like it
Sh-
was long.
When I had Tom and I had to coach him about what St. Mary's football was about, like he came from Rutherford and he, I don't know, something with Rutherford didn't coach him very properly. Like Venezia coached us, and I feel like him and Weaver did a great job coaching us up, football stance, fixing us, fixing where we're quicker off the ball, finding ways for all of us to get better. And I'm looking, I go, Tom, you're 6'6", dude. First of all, you're bigger than me by 3 inches. I go, your thing is lowering the pads.
Oh yeah, which was hard
It
because
was hard.
we had the
Or
shoots.
remember the shoots. That
Yeah,
was Randy's problem.
we
He
get
always stood up.
yeah.
So that's why I always could beat Randy in the shoots. I mean, there's a couple times, don't get me wrong, we had a stalemate. We would chop our feet, try pushing each other. You're talking about 480, 400, 500 pounds of power against two people. If you
Yeah,
think about it, you know what I mean? Randy was such a brick house, and so was I. You could barely move each other. I remember the one time we both got stuck in the chute
yeah. I
because
know.
we
It was yeah, you're right. That thing was so annoying. And
it was
whoever, I mean, I just want to like,
what did it kill?
it's such a weird concept that like that shoot was such and it's how do I say this best? Like it was such a great tool,
It
but
was.
it was like a weird thing, like because it slanted and it was like who in their right mind, I want to know who made that pen and I want to steal it from them. Like you're
Yeah,
making
no, right.
money. Like
But I remember with Mike Schmed's with Schmed, I said, all right. I remember taking him to the shoot. I said, this is going to be your best friend. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, this is how I learned how to keep my pads low. And I actually remember asking for pads and a helmet with to go against him.
oh my God.
So I never brought back my pads or helmet when I played in the All-Star game. In
Oh
the
my God.
I
Alex.
still had him at that time. I never returned him to Venezia. I kept my pads. I kept my helmet from the Bergen County All-Star game, East-South game, North-South game.
My God.
And I kept my pads. And I go, Schmuds, I'm going to hurt you. And he goes, I go, if you don't push me out of the chutes, this is going to be the most longest summer we'll ever have together.
Oh my God.
So, man, we worked after practice, though. It was always an hour after practice, me and him at the chutes. We would be there till 7 o'clock easily.
Yeah.
Man, when he finally was getting it, right before the season started, he was getting it. And he was pushing me. And I'm like, I was still strong at that point. But he was just like full extension out. I remember tying his thumbs up to keep so he didn't like hold.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I did everything like they did to me.
Oh my God.
So when I was coaching freshmen, I remember one of them, and I remember it was Coach Pags, our freshman year coach. We did Nutcrackers.
Oh yes. Didn't he own Joey's in Clifton?
No, he worked at Joey's in Clifton. And
Okay, there you
so, excuse me, several years later, I'm there drinking with the guy. And one thing I learned with him was the duck walks. Remember, we had to walk like a duck from one end of Tamlin to the other by the basketball courts to keep our pads low.
we had to do some weird. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So when I became coach of the freshman team as the offensive line coach,
Yeah.
I remember there's one kid I go, you're not keeping your pads low. I said, duck walk it to the fence and back. So you remember how small the practice field was on the
Yeah.
other side.
Yeah.
So imagine doing a duck walk from the middle of that to the baseball entrance and back. I got so annoyed one time with the kids. It was so bad. And Sheridan called me out on it. I'll never forget this face. What are you doing? I go, the pads are not getting low. If they're not getting low, we're never going to win a game.
Oh my God.
So now my mentality as a coach changed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to treat the kids like the way we got treated, but that edginess. But
So would you say then, because like you were talking about this great example, right? How someone came to you who we know each other, like we know him on a different level, I would say best because of like we played for him.
yeah,
But would you say like were we kind of like trained or like maybe it was such a weird because I remember like playing for him, and I felt like I had to do the best I could. Like there was no, I would rather stick around for another hour and have him coach me than that. But then when you get in high school, college, you're like, why did I do that? And then when you get older, you're like, you know what? I learned a couple of things.
I think Coach Sheridan saw potentials on people, and he pushed you for that potential.
It was such a, it was, but it's kind of like, it was such a weird concept because we had your parents, we had our teachers, we
Yeah.
had schools, we had priests, and we had so on and so forth. And to have this man who I hardly knew in the beginning, right? And because you're a kid as a freshman, and then you wanted to play so badly, not because you wanted to play varsity, you wanted to play for him,
Yeah.
right? You want to play for Coach Sheridan. Oh, why? You know, he had like a weird accent, but he's from New Jersey.
But he also had the dip. He also had a big chew in his mouth too.
And he was tall, and he was like, I was, yo, man, this guy can kick some ass. I remember him getting on all fours. I'm like, this guy's a fucking animal. Excuse my
Oh,
language.
no, it's okay. You're allowed to curse on the show.
Okay, so you're an
This is,
animal. And it's weird how we're like reminiscing so quickly because I would say we all wanted to play for this one man for like we wanted to impress him. I guess I would say not like a father-son thing. It was a little bit different.
it was different, but the one thing is, I do think for me as a person, the way he pushed me to be better, to get better, to strive to be that starting offensive lineman my junior year, to get that position with such a line and protecting Mickey Holtz's blind side.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, that is probably one of the harder positions, not the right tackle, but protecting the blind side of your quarterback. Even though we didn't throw the ball, we threw the ball maybe 3 times a game,
Yeah.
3 or 4 times a game, but still being the blind side of Mickey Holtz, all-state kicker. It doesn't matter the position. And the one thing I would, and I'll take this into consideration. I think I became the man that I am today because of him.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm
It,
not a slouch.
you know, but I would tell you, it's a scary thing is some people who I know, who I've spoken to throughout my years, we're now 42, 43, whatever it is
We're
now.
43.
Yeah. So like, I will tell you that some people hated him, man. But but here's the scary part about it. They still remember his name. They know who he is. So like so you know, you're saying that. You know, one thing I remember from him, you're gonna laugh, is he would always ask us if we were like not in the game, do you need to use the bathroom? And I was like, why would you say that to someone?
Yeah, because
Now that I'm like seeing these people, you know, working in these, you know, in a certain industry, even myself running and doing, you know, competitions, I'm like, it actually is an important message because like if you need to use the bathroom, you're not gonna be at your full potential because you're thinking about using the bathroom.
yeah,
Like this guy was onto something when I was 16 years old.
yeah. But the funny thing is, yes, there's a lot of people who did not like him because he was tough.
This whole entire show should be, your topic of this show should be men's and dads, right? Because
Yeah,
your father, we talked about each other, we talked about like Sheridan.
but that's the great thing about us because we still talked about what we're doing.
Yeah,
Where
but I mean,
you're,
parents, well, as parents, I mean, like you have 2 kids, right?
yeah, yes, I do. I have a 6 and a 2-year-old.
Your daughter's beautiful, your son is, you
Thank
know,
you.
handsome boy, and I have 2 that are crazy. And it's funny, but sometimes you start picking up things like you know, don't laugh, but like I remember as a kid growing, like playing football with Sheridan, he will grab me by the side and pinch me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I do that to my little one. Like, "What are you doing?" And I'm
Well,
like,
I do the same thing with my daughter. It's funny. Today is a great, even though this is going to air a couple weeks later. Today was a great example. She's going to be playing t-ball.
"Okay, oh,
So I
that's good."
bought her first true glove. She
Oh, yeah.
wanted a pink glove, but I found a pink and purple glove for her. Loves it. And we're inside. I bought this. Actually, I bought my son a mitt too, even though he's 2. We're just tossing this toy soft baseball, and it's kind of funny as I'm trying to teach her how to throw the ball. I'm sitting on the couch doing this, by the way, as I'm teaching her to do this inside a house. And I'm like, no, sweetie, you got to throw the ball like this. So you got to go back this way and throw it forward. Like you're trying to aim at my head and try to catch the ball. And, she's like a sponge. She loves learning. She loves trying new things. When the hockey games are on, she tries to enjoy them. When the football games are on, she sits there going, Daddy, this is your favorite sport. I go, yes, this and hockey, even though I don't play it. I never played a lick of ice hockey in my entire life, except for
Ever? Even like after?
Even after I
No
never,
club, no put on pair of skates and mess around.
no, never
Oh,
have. I think it was just the fact that Cubans don't belong on ice. Cuban Peruvians don't belong on ice.
no, you can't say that, man. Everybody, the perfect example is like I should never be on ice, and my wife convinced. My wife has taught me a lot. So, quick story. Speaking about like not knowing things, your daughter learning how to play, throw a ball. I didn't know how to ride a bike till I was 30 years old. And
Seriously?
my wife taught me how to ride a bike. She taught me how to scuba dive. She taught me how to snowboard. I was like, I didn't know anything, but you're right because you're kid. I'm a kid growing up in Passaic, New Jersey.
Oh,
These are the things that I know. Like I don't know
yeah.
these things. I met my wife and she's like, Steve, you're gonna learn how to play. She got me on skates. Like she did everything with me.
See,
But
rollerblading, I know how to do. Like I can rollerblade.
that's what I'm shocked. Like I knew you know how to rollerblade. I'm
Yeah,
shocked.
but I don't know. I tried ice skating once. I think I flew thinking I knew what I was doing, and I
Oh,
crashed into the boards so hard. I said, "Fuck this! I'm done."
it's oh man, it's a sneaky surface for sure.
Yeah, well, I think it was because I thought I could stop the way I used to with the rollerblades, but I tried stopping like a ice skater, like
You
a
try to stop
hockey
the
player.
skate?
I tried to go, sidestep, and
Oh, you went hot. Yeah. Oh no.
oh, I did it, and then I tipped over, and I went flying headfirst into the boards. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm never doing this again.
All
And then,
right, sorry. Your daughter was learning how to like. Yes, I got you.
yeah,
Knock
no,
knock
but
on the
yeah,
door, right? Knock on the
yeah,
door.
knock on the door, and it's funny, and she's learning. You know what I mean? Like, I said to her, once we get outside, I'm gonna throw her some grounders, and I gotta break in her glove. Actually, just thinking about it. I want her to try whatever she wants.
Mhm.
I think she still wants a cheerlead.
It's fun. I mean,
Nah, but hey, as a dad, you know what I mean? As a ex-football player, it's one of those things, you know what I mean?
are you the more intense parent when it comes to sports or no?
As of right now, I don't think I am, but I
Is
have a
your wife
bad.
intense?
My wife is a sports fan. She's a tennis player. My wife's a tennis player.
Okay.
So she played tennis, she played softball, she played a lot of sports, but she was very good at tennis. She was telling me,
What school
but
she goes to? Wait, is she from New
uh
Jersey?
she's from Whippany.
Okay.
So yeah, farther away from
West.
us. Yeah. Well, it's like 2 towns away from me now. Whippany's by
They're Parsippany, right?
well, I'm by Parsippany, but East Hanover, Whippany, and all that area.
Oh, that's right. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So, when we were slumming at Bergen County, South Bergen County, she's up here in the west
Wait.
side, We
Where's
were
where was there? To me, there's no. Wait, hold on. What town did you live in? In
me,
South Bergen County. You said South Bergen County.
Rutherford. So
Rutherford's beautiful, man.
I don't know about now, but
Beautiful now.
but no, but yeah, but you know what it is? When you were in the when I went to the All-Star game, there
Yeah.
was North Bergen County, South Bergen County. So anything from Paramus to Fort Lee is considered South Bergen County.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
It's like Lodi, South Bergen County, Garfield.
So Lodi, Rutherford, East Rutherford, Paramus, Fort Lee, Englewood, Dwight Englewood, North Arlington, Lyndhurst,
Garfield, right?
Garfield. I'm actually when I got to play in the All-Star game, I got to play with a lot of these great guys.
So then who was in the north? Ramsey,
Ramsey, Alpine, Ramapo, Bergen
Or
Catholic, St. Joe's, Montvale.
Morton.
You're
Yeah.
talking a combination from Division 1 to Division 4 at that time.
Yeah. It's
So I got to play in that game. Dennis was supposed to be there, but he never played the game. Um, I
but the year that had Sims.
That's the year they had Sims, our senior year,
Yeah. No, our
and
senior year, the junior year, he
yeah,
Sims.
our senior year it was Sims, but didn't care too much. We never got a chance to play him.
No, because he was a Group 4 school.
Yeah, but we wanted to when we were doing our preseason schedule. We were going against some of the big school names.
He was. He wasn't he. Didn't you guys see him? No, I know that. I know some of the kids we played with saw him on 7-on-7. I remember we had 7-on-7 summer games for the high
Yeah,
school.
I wasn't part of 7-on-7. I was a lineman.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
more.
And some of the kids, I remember some of the kids played him. They were like, he's
I
really good.
think Dennis. I think did. I think Steve Armstrong, Lavar, Joe
LeVar,
Reed. I think they all saw him play, but you, me, Randy, and all us, we were at lineman camp whenever we were at boot camp at
I'm
Sirius.
5'9". I was like 5'9", 200 pounds. I was like, I don't know how am I alignment.
But you know what? But you know what? The funny thing is, like, when you look at it, Steve, you were stockier too. Don't forget. Now you're in better shape than I am. Let's just say that. But you think about it, but when you think about it, from our freshman year to our senior year,
Yeah,
we all came in different sizes, height,
yeah.
everything. When you look at it, I think I was the tallest one in our freshman year. Plus, I got my license my sophomore year.
Yeah, the Malibu.
Yes, yes.
I remember that
Wow.
bike.
Well, you also remember we all crashed into my father's car. Not crashed into it, but we all tried getting into a Ford Festiva, 13 of us, our freshman year.
Yes, yes.
And my dad had the little freaking red car and
Bags, like those big, huge bags.
huge bags. We had the huge bag sticking out of the car. My dad brought us all to the field, and I'll never forget Sheridan's face because I'm the first one to come out. Then it's you. Then it's Danny Testa, Flipowitz, Dennis Holtz. And he goes, "How the hell did you guys go get into this one car?"
So,
We clown carded, coach. We clown carded.
so did that fix? So did that fix that issue? Because I think the reason why we couldn't leave our pads there was because it was owned by Rutherford. So now since the field is named Sheridan, are the locker rooms owned by St. Mary's?
From what I'm hearing, they redid the locker rooms.
Okay.
So
So can
now,
you keep stuff there or no?
well, we always kept our pads there. We kept our helmets and shoulder pads, but don't forget, we would have to lock them up at
Yes, that
nights.
was weird.
Yeah, because Rutherford owned the field. I think now St. Mary's officially owns that field because they changed the name,
Which is still a mile away.
which is, yeah, it's a half a mile. It's still in the same town, but a good, that's not that far. We always walked it.
Did we?
Oh, yeah. Some of us walked it, some of us had
And you're
cars.
right, because the other field, Memorial, is that the other field?
Memorial Field was the further one. That's where,
7. That was because I remember we would do that for wrestling. Where it's like half a mile. So it's like half a mile. Yeah, it's not bad.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not that bad. But no, Memorial Field was the long one because when we were doing track, we were running down to Memorial Field and back.
Yeah.
That I remember because I hated that run because we would have to start from St. Mary's to Park Ave around the circle, follow Erie Ave or Union Ave down to Memorial Field,
That's right. Yeah.
back up West Passaic up the hills, back down to St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that because I hated the run as a heavyweight. Running that and I'm throwing the freaking discus and the shot put. Then we had to get into my car with the stuff to drive down to Memorial Field for practice.
That's right. Yeah. Wow.
So
That
we
was
were for us throwing discus and shot put. And then we get in my car and drive down.
And we had friends who did like the 5K. I'm like, oh yeah, Jake
Nancy,
Minelli, he would run the 5K. He was fine with it.
and Nancy Sinclair, who was our all-star cross-country runner.
That's right. Oh my God, I forgot.
Yeah.
She lives in Bergen County, actually.
Yeah, I think she still lives in Bergen County. So it's just funny.
World,
It's weird. But until this day, I still think Sheridan is the one who molded me who I am today with my parents. But also now I thank my wife for a lot of stuff. I don't drink anymore. Like I'll drink like once in a while, like a glass here and there. Quit smoking.
That's the hardest part is, excuse me, is I had to I think I was telling you before was like I picked up running because I was a big smoker.
Yeah.
I weighed at one point 255 to 260. And after I did my first marathon in AC many years ago, and then you have children. When you have children, it's the hardest thing to work out.
Yeah.
Now they're older. Definitely my wife, it's a huge factor to where I am today.
Yeah. Well, now, I'm more of a health risk. I'll just tell you, I have type 2 diabetes now, high blood pressure.
Sorry. Oh,
and
man.
I don't know. This is what happens when you let yourself go for so many years. You know what I mean? It's my fault. I don't blame anybody but me.
But also, like, no, you can't say that because sometimes people, I mean, like, it's hereditary. Like, I know people who are in phenomenal shape, and all of a sudden, a quick story. I know a guy whose brother passed away at the age of 47, phenomenal shape. Found out he had a widowmaker, the vein was closed. I know people who have diabetes who have no idea, perfect shape, ate great, but they just have it's hereditary.
Yeah, no, for me, it was adult type because once we graduated high school, pizzas and beers and Cokes became our thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was the other thing too. Like after I left, I stopped being as active. But now that I have kids, I'm feeling sluggish. And my wife, I'm back on Weight Watchers. Today was not a good dinner day. You have Peruvian food. It's hard not to. You definitely get off the points there. But
I mean, to whoever's listening, there's a thing called Ajinomoto where they actually sell you MSG to put on the food, like
yes, I know
as a flavoring.
there's a flavoring. But now I'm starting to eat a little bit different. I weighed at. I'll even say it right now. I weighed at 403 a few weeks ago. Down to 386. I gotta do my weigh in tomorrow. So for
Wow,
me to
good.
lose, a few pounds here and there, but the funny thing is you don't realize how good you feel. Like I feel like I have energy. By the time I get home, I was sluggish. By the time I'm cooking dinner and I'm sitting down, not even playing with the kids, and I'm just like this on the couch, ready to fall asleep. Like now I feel like I gain energy. I'm getting better. And now it just can't wait as it gets warmer. I can't wait to be actually outside. I have a bike that I haven't touched in 2 years. I want to start riding that again with my daughter. So I could
Nice.
teach her how to ride two wheels now because she's at that age that the training wheels are going to start coming off.
Yeah, man. Those are I will yo. I wish you good luck. I had to teach my wife. Actually, I'll tell my wife. Me and my wife had to teach, but she was more the biggest one. We had to teach two kids. We taught our oldest at the age of 5 during COVID, and then the other one taught at age of 4. But it's the kids get so nervous. They're like,
Yeah, I think I want to be nervous too, but I think if she sees me doing it a little
yeah,
bit, but
definitely.
I definitely want to take her out for a bike ride soon. Things like that now, you know what I mean? It's just realize what you have and you just don't want to lose, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
one thing I always said losing my dad 20 some odd years ago, hardest thing ever until this day. Still think about him, still talk about him. And I know he's always looking down now at his two grandkids, and how identical one of them looks to me, my beautiful daughter. If you shaved her hair, put a goatee on her, she is my mini
Oh my
me.
God! Don't do that to your daughter. No, no.
No, no, no. I told her for Halloween we're gonna dress her up as me and see what people think.
Daughter has really, I think, really like good eyes. Like she's big, bright. Like you can see,
Yes,
oh man,
she
like
does.
she looks attentive. She looks like she's like, oh, okay, I'm
And
looking. You're right. As a sponge, you're right.
and
So,
Anthony, he's gonna be the next bruiser. Either he's gonna be the next Tino Santana flying off the, or Jimmy Fly Snuka flying because he's learning that now. He's jumping, he's fearless. Or he's gonna be the next NFL running back that I've never seen. The first Hispanic running back in the NFL.
yeah, that's right.
But I'm not gonna push football on him. I want him to play what he wants to play.
Oh man, you're a good man. You're a good man. So
Listen, as much
I'm,
as
I, me and my wife are like, okay, we're gonna do. So my little one, it's like T-ball. You're doing it because you know how to throw a good ball. You know how to catch. You know everything. My other one, you're gonna be doing gymnastics. We're gonna do rock climbing, whatever we can. Get it going.
well, my daughter's a very good dancer, so
Yeah, there you
I support her in the dancing as much as don't like the recitals, but I'll be there. Um,
you sound like a I have a close friend. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Tom, and Tom every day he's like, Steve, gotta be up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I gotta drive to New York. I gotta do 2 recitals. I gotta come back, and then we have sports. And then I was like, oh man, he has 2 daughters, so it's like always back to back recitals, man.
well, luckily I have one daughter, one son, so but he's only two. So the good thing is, and like her, I'm not gonna push sports on them.
Okay.
The one thing I will do though is this that I wish I did better was definitely my schoolwork.
Okay.
And that's one thing I always regretted. I was a hell of a player. I had opportunities to go to play, college ball, but I hurt my knee. Did all that NCAA, but the thing was that killed me was my SAT scores and my high school academic grades. I
Gotcha.
will say that.
Oh, do you mean the clearinghouse? You meant to say,
Yeah,
right?
the clearinghouse. Well, the clearinghouse I did well, but my SAT scores weren't the greatest. I think it was like 1100, I think, you know what I mean? But they didn't reflect my C's and D's in high school because, our wonderful guidance counselor at that time really didn't put
What was our
into
guidance counselor?
Miss Giorgetti.
Oh, that's right. We did have one. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The only reason I knew is when I popped open the yearbook, the first face I saw. And one thing I didn't like about her is she never pushed any of us. She only pushed the smart kids.
Yeah, or the really really bad ones.
Yeah. So she really never pushed. And I know she goes, "Oh, well, I don't know why you're going to go to college. You're not going to get in." And you know what? Yeah, I went to community college. I don't give a shit. It's
Yeah.
college.
Which
Did I
nowadays like doesn't matter, honestly.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't. But that's the thing with her. She didn't push us to do better. She never told us that your grades reflect freshman year and also sophomore year. She only said, "Oh, if you're going to go play sports, it only matters for your junior and senior year." So, of course, I slacked off freshman and sophomore year and I applied myself more my junior, senior year, not realizing that you needed all 4 years.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
one thing I will say, and that's one thing I preach as a coach. And I remember Sheridan preaching to us too, you know, football was always family, family, God, school, friends, football last. And that's one thing I still tell the kids, but I said the grades are more important. You
Yeah.
guys, you know what, guys, I'm going to tell you this. Not everyone's going to go play on to college football. Only the lucky ones do. And
Yeah.
one thing is important is your grades as a freshman to your senior year. And let me tell you, some of those kids went to Iona, some went to Michigan State, some went to different colleges. And you know what? To hear them go be successful now when I bump into them, to me is like, great. I know I did my job right.
Wait, why don't are you still coaching or no?
No, I haven't coached since 06, 07.
Why don't you go back and coach?
Job, man, it's a job. I'm working 7 to 5 every day. I'm a dispatcher now. I'm an inside sales guy and dispatcher,
And you also have two kids too,
and I
man.
have 2 kids. So
Yeah.
I work 7 to 5 Monday through Friday, 7 to 12 Saturdays, and whatever time I have with the kids, I try to do the best I can.
No offense to our old classmate Paula Johnson, but you can be definitely. I mean, they were 4-10 last year. I heard.
Yes, but I mean, Paulie's trying to really regroup. They
Yeah,
don't have one thing I noticed the size from when we played to the size of the kids now. They don't have those sizes.
gotcha.
You
Yeah,
know, they're throwing in 185-pound freshman, as a lineman. Um, would I love to coach? Yeah, maybe when it's hard to go where I live now back to Rutherford to coach.
why don't you find someone local?
Well, maybe when my son gets a little older,
Gotcha. Okay,
you
got
know what I
it.
mean? I think if he wants to play football, I'm going to be there to support him. If the guy hears me going, "Hey, defense, back up," stuff like that, if they hear me, I'm not going to, as much as my knowledge as a coach, I always wanted to become a coach to go higher up to collegiate to NFL was a dream at one point.
Gotcha.
And it was hard. Pretty much when my pops passed, I had to make some tough decisions. Coaching was not in the books anymore, working full time,
Yeah.
helping out the family, and then finally moving out of the house. I met my wife on Match.com.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah, yeah. Me and her,
Oh, that's amazing.
met her on
You're like the spokesperson
I
then.
met her on Match.com, and dude, it's been a blessing having her because things have changed so much better for my life. And
Cool.
I own a house now, got 2 cars, I got awesome credit. So I mean, I
You say the key word. You say awesome credit.
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks to her. It was thanks to her. It's bad when you discover Best Buy card at 21
Oh man, or
and
just start at 18. That's what
or
happened to me.
discover well, I didn't have any credit cards at 18. But when you discover Best Buy credit cards at 21 and you charge $10,000 under a year and forgot to pay the bill,
Oh
yeah,
no.
yeah, that's what happened to me.
Oh my
Well,
God. So, oh my. To me, you remember? So I went to Rutgers, and for fraternities to get like money back,
yeah,
would like grab kids or just freshmen, whoever. Hey, open this credit card. It was like a gimmick, and people would open credit card. I was one of them. I opened a credit card, got approved for like $3,000 or something small, like something nothing crazy, and I can literally tell you, I think I opened a credit card when I was 18 years old. I think I finally paid it off when I was like 24. I totally forgot about it. I was like 6 years later. I was like, holy shit, I still own this. It was
well,
little.
it took me forever because I was paying for a car.
Okay.
I was paying for that, and I missed some payments here or there. So it just followed me until it was
How's,
like a year before I got married. I
oh wow.
finally,
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
finally paid it off.
When did you get
And
married?
2014.
Gotcha. Where did you get married? Where, like, where any?
Oh, in Crystal Plaza.
Okay, I know that
Our
is. Yeah.
yeah, Crystal Plaza was our reception. We got married at Our Lady of Mercy over here in Whippany.
Oh, nice.
So, some of my closest friends were my groomsmen, and actually my boss was one of my groomsmen from when I worked for Sherwin Williams. So he was one of the groomsmen. Um, we got married and we stayed at the Westin Hotel.
Exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly where, like, I could see it.
So yeah, the Crystal Plaza was just a great place. Let me tell you.
Right?
I let my wife pick the venue with her parents because I said, as long as you love the venue, then I'll love it.
Okay.
I had no interest going to the venues because I was working, you know what I mean, trying to make my living a little bit at Sherwin Williams at that time. And it's kind of funny. She picked there's two places and I can't remember the other name. And it was hearing the prices at that time before we got married, how much it was from a Friday night to a Saturday night was like a huge difference. I'm like, and the only day they had was 7-Eleven. I'm like, really? We're getting married on 07-11. So I was like, great, 7-Eleven day. We can have free Slurpees.
Wait, you were married 7-Eleven. I'm married
Yeah.
7-14.
Are you really?
Yeah,
That's
same.
awesome.
July 14th, man. I got married
We
on.
got married July 11th.
Oh, wow.
So I'll tell you, if we could ever get invited back to the Crystal Plaza, we
Oh,
enjoyed
no. Is that good or bad?
the best venue I've ever been into.
Good, 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 good.
So we were the only wedding in there.
Okay.
Accommodations were unbelievable. My wife and I had the butler service. I didn't think I was getting one. She was supposed to get it. She's got the girl with the makeup, the hair, everything for her. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm your butler." I'm like, "Great." So every time I was half done with my Jack and Coke, there was a fresh one right there.
Oh, no, that's not good, man.
You know what? I was not that drunk during my wedding.
That drunk.
I was not because I was having way too much fun. It
There was,
was
wait, hold on. Yeah, of course you're gonna have fun. You're drinking.
Yeah, but no, but I was like saying hi to everybody. Like we had a huge cocktail hour, which was
Okay.
a cocktail hour and a half, I think. So we actually went upstairs. We let all the groomsmen and the bridesmaids go downstairs with their families and stuff, and me and Laura went upstairs, and they brought us the food to us,
Oh,
and we
cool.
just we just chilled for like 15 minutes before we made our way down to see everybody for the cocktail hour.
What was your wedding song, man? Was it
It
something
was
fun?
it was something fun. I just can't remember
Oh,
right
no
now.
worries.
I remember our entrance team was Eric Prince Call on Me.
Okay. Was anybody from St. Mary's at your wedding at all?
No, no, nobody really from St. Mary's. Well, Brian Cohen, um, or aka Brian Colburn. He was before you. He
Okay.
was class of 93.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, yeah.
But don't forget, I went to the St. Mary's Grammar School and I met him my eighth grade year, his senior year. He was
Okay.
93, 94. So I met him and he's the only one that I know
Gotcha.
from the old school St. Mary's era. When we're talking like Devlin Hall and all of them.
Oh, wow. That's like way before. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I know a lot of these older guys,
Gotcha.
because of St. Mary's Grammar School
Okay.
and him and Miller and Pasturci and Marone and Coyne. I knew all these guys.
Funny. I actually met someone recently who I actually know for a year, and I found out she actually went to St. Mary's Grammar School back before, like way advanced. Like she's much younger than us. So I was like, oh wow. I was like, I don't know anyone in your class.
Well, do you remember who she was?
No, yeah, her name is Ellen Hugel. I forgot I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she had to be when we were freshmen in high school. I think she had to be maybe, wow, she would be 4.
Okay.
She's
Yeah,
like
we
really,
would. Yeah.
yeah, you would never know. Like we were freshmen,
No.
yeah. But it's that, yeah. Speaking of people, like about, I know we were talking about this before about people that we talked to. You know who I saw? So this is a weird thing. So I'm doing an ultra run. This is called
Okay.
ultra runs are anything 20 miles plus, right? Or hours, like 3 hours plus. And I'm there, and I'm running it, and we had to wear like packs, like water packs and everything. And behind me, I see a woman. I was like, yo, I know this woman from somewhere. So we get to the first 9 mile marker, and I'm there, and I'm like drinking water, and it gives electrolytes, and it's like, yo, I know this girl. We go back. It's Rosalind Bedoya. Remember her?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her at all because she was like I was like, oh, and she was like, you're Alex. I was like, no, I'm
No.
Steve. But how are you? She didn't know my last name. She thought my name was Alex Diaz. I was like, no, it's Steve Diaz. And she was like, oh crap, wow. So we said hi to each other, and I was like, wow. And I was like, what a small world. Like I was just randomly running this like
She took
ultra.
she took my first name with your last name.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I was like, wait, what? No, but it was funny. We were just muddy, sweaty, and I was like, oh, small world that I'd seen you here.
I haven't seen her since she graduated high school.
She looks nothing like she does before. I mean, not to like, she, I would say like, she looks like a true runner, like a true,
Yeah,
like,
good for her.
oh my God, like, holy crap. And ever since they actually do, sometimes she does there's an organization called Sasquatch Trails. They do like all these crazy runs.
Mhm.
And I always look up, is she there? Is she there? And she's always like doing these like 8-hour runs. I'm like, yo, you're crazy. Wild. You don't have to, well, of course, you're not really running. Sometimes you have to walk because of the
Yeah,
terrain.
but still,
But I was like, wow.
good for her.
Yeah,
Man, talk
random
about
stuff.
talk about reminiscing today. I think this is the episode I've been enjoying. I enjoy all my
I can tell
episodes.
you, I can tell you a bunch of people I've seen before, man. Some people, I'm like,
Oh, that
wait,
could be for another episode too.
who I saw? You know who I saw that you were like, wait, who was the girl that this guy was dating when we were growing up? Brandy Pitchnick. Remember he was dating
Rachel
someone?
Corsati.
I saw her.
She's married now.
She is.
She just got married recently.
I saw her one day. Yankees just won the World Series. I'm
Okay.
in a bar in where am I? In Lincoln Park, New Jersey. And she was there. And I said hi to her. And she was like, she looked at me like she saw a ghost. And I looked at her like, oh, hey, I know you're Rachel. And I was like, and it was such an awkward moment. But that's like one of the few people I'm like, oh my God, she went to high school. She graduated high school with us, right?
She graduated 99 with us actually. I just not well, I haven't really I've talked to her through Facebook.
Okay.
And that's how I found her through somebody actually. I think it was through Jessica. So through Jessica Pounds, I think I found her through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, funny small world. And I see her, she got married recently. She's doing good. She's,
It's crazy how these people like we get to see.
it's a small world seeing like our classmates. I mean, I have not seen Randy Pitchnick and I don't know since we graduated.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
I haven't seen Billy Mink
I haven't
in
seen, yeah.
um
Speaking of a school stuff, remember when I'm not sure we used to come, so we used to go to basketball games. And Billy Mink would pull up a newspaper. And when the team was coming up, the other team was being announced, we would put the newspaper up and be like just so quiet and silent.
yes, I was there.
And then we were winning by a lot. I don't know. I never knew the song till Billy Mink was like, turn off the lights.
Oh
And
yes, yes,
I was like,
yes.
what is this man doing?
But
And
man, we
people were
used to
so
go.
pissed.
We would go shoot. I remember we were fouling Matt Stone and all them that year, our junior and senior year. Because I remember Sean would drive with me because I was driving way
John
before
who?
Sean Flipowitz.
Oh yeah, that guy's, you seen, so it's another small story. The kid who I known since he was like, I'm much older than him, since he was a baby. He knows Sean Flipowitz through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I heard he's doing
Like
that.
he's phenomenal, I heard. And you know
Oh,
who's really good in that? Anthony DeFino.
that I knew. Defino was always like that, but I know he's been working with the pliables. Like he opened up a restaurant type
So
deal.
he opened up Little Plates Small, it used to be called Small Foods Little Plates. Now it's called the Dumpling Dojo in Rutherford.
Yes, that's the place in Rutherford.
He opened that one. We were talking at one point a lot, and then he got really engaged into, he actually got his, which I really learned, is he got his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is really amazing. Yeah.
Up a way to master over there. Whew.
Yeah.
That's scary stuff, man. But I mean, I haven't seen Sean in many years too, so I hope he's doing great.
Yeah, well, yeah, they told me he's doing phenomenal. My buddy, I talk to him every day, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I see him when I get to the one in Saddlebrook, I think it is, or Saddle River. He
I
goes
think,
there.
yeah, the one I know it's in Bergen County.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's so cool to reminisce tonight, dude. We'll talk about Alpha Fit Club, which is great stuff that you guys are doing over with the organizations. You know, one thing I'm gonna say is like I probably will stop in Alpha Fit Club one
You know,
day.
man, you're going to see, man. This is not to put a big plug, but guys, we have locations everywhere. There's one in Bergen County. There's one in not Passaic County yet. Not till June. We open one in Wayne. We have one in Verona, Red Bank, all over the place. You come in, your first class is free. Gomez, I will take the first class with you.
I'm probably gonna need help anyway.
We're comforting. We always tell everybody take your pace. Don't do anything crazy. And then you'll catch then you'll come in through and you'll catch the alpha flu. I love to call it to all my newbies. I'm like, you're gonna catch the alpha flu. I'll see you here 10 days in the next month. And they're like, yeah, I am. And all of a sudden you're gonna love it. So whenever you want, you can DM me, hey Steve, I want to do my first class. I'll put you in Glen Rock, I'll put you in
I
Verona.
think Verona would be the closest for me.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's on 46 right there.
So I definitely would stop in. But also, let's plug you in. Where could people find you too?
So I'm pretty much I am on Instagram the most. Let's go Diaz, let's _go _Diaz. Quick joke. The reason why it's let's go Diaz is because one day I am nuts and I say to myself, let's go Diaz. I'm like, I'm running. If you know me from high school, if you know my family, they will call me Diaz. I'm the only Diaz in my family, so it's easier to recognize me. If not, I'm always Alpha Fit Club, alphafitclub.com. If you want to, you can go on the websites or go under pages. I'm pretty much either helping out there or Run with Wolves, AC Athletic Club. If you want to go there, I'm usually running their live page. I'm also running their Instagram page with my friend Tim. Tim does most of it. I just do some of it. But if you see a live feed, I'm usually doing it with them.
That's awesome. Definitely going to be checking you out down there soon, but I also want to connect with some of the runs you guys are going to be doing hopefully soon, especially with the charity and the great work you guys are doing over there at Alpha Fit Club.
Thank you.
Steven Diaz, number 50 at St. Mary's.
Oh God, I can't believe
top lineman. I asked, hey, you gotta think of keeping your books alive these times now. So Steve, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Guys, check him out. You see him on Instagram. Steve and I go way back from 94, 95 year of St. Mary's. Here we are 25 years later. Almost 25 years later. It's like amazing, but we could, as you can see, we've fallen right together. Like we haven't seen each other literally almost 15 years now. This is the first time we've seen each other. We always support each other. I thank you for all the support, brother, on those shows. And guys, you can see everything. Check me out on sleeveygpodcast.com. Read my blogs there, but also see that little button that says subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You also check out Linktree/SleevyG79. It connects you to all my stuff, website, Facebook, Instagram, podcast stations, everything. Guys, please leave a comment, leave some 5 stars. I would love to hear from everybody. So from now on, good night, love, peace, and happiness, everybody.